Welcome back to the Autry Benton Show. Agriculture is the #1 industry in South Carolina, so who our ag commissioner is really matters. Hey, Danny, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Tell our listeners who you are and what you're running for.
Danny Lee Ford II. I'm running for Commissioner of Agriculture. Trying to make a difference, man. Our farmers are in a tough spot right now with all this going on in the world, and just jumped out at me, and I want to be a part of it.
I got you. Well, let's get the elephant out the room. Everybody wants to know, who's your dad?
Danny Ford, yeah, the old coach. I'm the second. So, yeah, he grew up on the football field. We traveled and did all kinds till I hit middle school, and once I hit middle school, it ended. So we ended up on the farm, and I thought that was a little funny to be going to every football stadium in the country and then get put on work detail. It wasn't ideal, but it taught me a lot.
Yeah, well, that's great, man. That's great. Well, good deal. So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up. Always lived in Greenville, was born, lived in Clemson, Anderson area. We spent a little spurt in Arkansas for about 5 years, and then I moved out west and rodeoed out there for a little while in Florida. So I've been all over, we're a traveling family.
So ever since you can remember, you remember Clemson, your dad being the coach there, is that fair to say?
I remember playing with the Oranges in the Orange Bowl trophy when I was a kid.
Is that right? Yeah. Man, and many people can say that.
No.
So, I got to ask, man, so what was it like to grow up in that environment? I mean.
Well, like I say, I didn't know any different until middle school and everything changed. I thought, I was just a kid and thought that's how it went. But, we were always on planes. We were always on buses. We were always traveling. I can remember friends of mine, in Arkansas, went on a date one time, and there was a college football game, and I stayed home from that college football game and went on a date. Nobody could believe it, because why would you trade that for that? But I got to deal with that all the time. So the other fun things for me was what everybody were getting to do.
The pretty girls more track.
Oh, right? I was all about that, that's for sure.
I got you. Awesome, man. You got your siblings?
Yeah, I got three sisters. Sisters, yeah.
So where do you fall in line?
All older. I'm the baby. I
got you. Tell me about your mom.
My mom, she raised us. She was the one that held the fort down, and she raised all four of us kids. And Dad, back then it was travel. There was airplanes and stuff, but not near. He was driving all over, and they used to tell us that he'd go in there and eat dinner with the mom and dad and convince the mom to let their son come to school with him, and he can cook, man. And the reason he can cook is because he's in all those kitchens, and those moms would give him those recipes, so you would be surprised about what he picked up that a lot of people don't know.
I got you. And he had roots back to Alabama,
Alabama.
Right? Did you have family there now?
Yeah, all of our family's from Alabama. Mom was from Alabama. My dad was from Alabama. Dad played for Bear Bryant at Alabama, and then he was a graduate assistant for some years for Bear Bryant. And then I think they went to Virginia Tech or West Virginia. That was before my time. And then I think he called my mom one day and said, "Got good news and bad news." And she said, "Well, what is it?" She said, "Well, I got a head coaching job." He said, "Well, that's great. Where is it?" He said, "Well, that's the bad news. It's in Clemson." And nobody knew where Clemson was back then, But I remember being around Frank Howard and a lot of that group, and so I've had a lot of special mentors growing up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did y'all go back to Alabama? You go back to Alabama now to see family? Or
we do, and it was always common to do the Thanksgiving stuff when everything changes when your grandparents die. So it's died down a little bit, but we did for a long time. We would go and do the the holidays and everything else. And now that I've got 2 kids, and my sister's got 3 kids, and another one of my sisters got 1 kid. So we all do it at home now, and, have plenty there to fill the house up. So it's a blessing.
That's good. So, Danny, I would think that you had an awesome childhood, but it was different, man. So, going to school, man, what was school like? Were you a celebrity then, or
Yeah, there's both sides of it, man. That's what a lot of people don't understand is the good with the bad. You get a lot of junk talk when you're not winning. I wouldn't want to be Dabo right now, they're catching a hard time, and hate that for them. Hope they can turn it around, but definitely know that one injury can change your whole season, you know. So I've seen that happen, and yeah, I mean, I've had my birthday in the Arkansas Stadium, played hide and go seek all over the whole thing, played football, would go up to the weight room. If I wanted to go to the box, I went to the box. If I went on the sidelines, I went to the sidelines. So it was
your domain.
It was my domain. I definitely ran the show. Those coaches all have a police officer that travels around with them, and they were always great to us, letting us play with the lights and sirens on the car and stuff. And so, yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So, like, pretty much growing up in Clemson, but when you went to Arkansas, like, man, were you like, man, what in the world are we doing? Or like, my life's about to change here?
Not really, because it was first grade.
Okay.
And so I was pretty young.
Okay.
And so that was, I had a lot of friends. That was the thing I hated about Arkansas, is leaving. We lived in a neighborhood type community, and everybody knew everybody's parents. All the kids played football, baseball, whatever together. And so leaving that was a little hard on me coming back. Just, the amount of schools that I've been to in my lifetime there's a lot of them, because we just were always up and moving. And that's how that industry and profession is. So, it was really fun to me to get out of school 2 weeks early and go recruiting in Orlando or something. You had those things, and teachers would bear with us and let me do some work away from home and stuff. So they've always been good to us.
Always in public school?
Always in public school. I went to 1 year in private school, and that was it. And it just wasn't for me. I like public school better for whatever reason, just the sports and everything else. The private school had their own sports team, and so I liked being in the different, from all over the schools. I had different friends that went to schools, so having them in different places and, being a part of the rec was really big, and I enjoyed that. We won a lot of soccer stuff, football, baseball, basketball. We were into all of it growing up. So
your dad let you play soccer?
Yeah, he let me play soccer.
How did that conversation go?
Oh, it was fine, man. It was at a young age. We won the state championship, so we were pretty successful, So he never pushed me. That was one thing that I can always say about my dad, is he let me find my own way. And I told him, I was talking to somebody earlier, and they were asking about the football. When we moved back, I played for Coach Boggs at R.C. Edwards, which is Daniel's middle school, and I think it'd been 18 years since they had lost a game. Yeah. And that first year we lost 2 of them, and I thought, well, man, with my dad being Danny Ford, I don't know that I need to stay in this playing football. So just as a 14-year-old, it was, a lot to live up to, and that's kind of why I started rodeoing and agriculture and broke off in my own way. Yeah.
Well, you kind of got ahead of me. I was going to ask you this question, if you'll give me permission to, but like, man, trying to find your own way. You know, your dad's a big figure, man. And listen, I think people with parents that are successful, you're not the only one there, or alpha type parents or whatever. Talk to me about that, how you found your way. Or how you not separated, or you were just yourself?
Yeah, so, I mean, for whatever reason, I hated running. Just running was not my strong suit. I just hated it. I didn't like to do it, and didn't mind working hard, didn't mind getting hit, didn't mind hitting people. But the running was just, and Bear Bryant said that about my dad. He said he's slow as heck, but he got a lot of try, and that was the same as me too. So whenever I got into it, I just saw that I didn't really, it wasn't me, and so I turned around and I told Dad in middle school, I said, I don't want to play football. And he said, well, you're going to do something. And so he said, you're going to work. And I said, where am I going to work at? And I'd walk around the farm with a rope everywhere I went. And he took me up to the street to a veterinarian's place and dropped me off. And he said, I don't care what you do with him, you work him, I don't even care if you pay him. And that's where I ended up at. And, they worked me hard. They let me see a lot of different things. I worked there for probably like 15 years. And it was the rodeo and the team roping that kept me latched on to that. It was really my passion. And, if I probably didn't have kids and have responsibilities, I'd probably still be doing it. But just like I told a lot of other people, that's a lifestyle. When you get into the rodeo, you spend $100,000 on a truck, $100,000 on a trailer, $30,000 on a horse. That's your every second of every day.
So you fell in love with the rodeo?
Oh yeah, that was my deal. And I you know, I won a lot over the state in South Carolina high school rodeo, and competed at the national level in high school and was successful there. I was 5th in the nation and 14th in the calf roping, and so that's not something that a lot of people have done in South Carolina. Is placed in the top 20 in 2 different events, but a lot of people don't understand that it's huge. High school rodeo in South Carolina is big, but in the United States, they do Canada, they do Australia. Every state sends 4 people out there from each event. It's the largest rodeo in the world, and a lot of people don't understand that the kids are out there and have a hand in the biggest rodeo out there.
Yeah, and being around the industry, I mean, hard work comes with dealing with animals, livestock, farm, or whatever. So the hard work never bothered you. I mean, you know.
No, it never bothered me. It actually it actually enticed me, you know, to want to. It was never 8 to 5 job. We would sit out there from 6 in the morning to 10 or 12 o'clock at night and go home, and I mean, you'd be so sore, and the only time you'd be clean is when you got out of the shower for a few hours for when you went to bed. So I loved it. I loved the community around it. All the horse people are really, really good people. Like I say, they don't do a lot else. You won't see those people like pick up and go to football games. They'll spend all Saturday traveling to rodeos and different stuff, and that's really what I enjoyed doing.
Wow, that's awesome. So you spent some time out west doing that?
Out west, Colorado, Texas, and I lived in Florida for a while professionally, training horses and rodeoing down there. So that was pretty fun. I learned a lot down there.
I don't think a lot of people know it, but Florida is a big horse farming country, right? Talk to me about that.
It's big cattle country, big horse country. It's second to Texas, and a lot of people don't know that. You know, it's got the right weather. I mean, you can make a living as a cowboy down there doing day work, just going to work for different ranches. A lot of people go out west and stay in Texas. Stephenville's huge in team roping and stuff like that. So we lose some people because we don't have the opportunities in our state, I feel like.
Well, good deal. So spent a lot of time, Texas, Florida. I mean, like, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy being?
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah. You know, I always got homesick from South Carolina. There's no place like South Carolina. You got the mountains, you got the beach, you got the Midlands. It's a special place. So there was always draw for me to come back. So I might make it a year, year and a half, 2 years somewhere, and then I'd be wanting to get home and get back in the routine, because it was leaving a lot. You know, I mean, we had a 200-acre farm here of our own, and Dad was here, our family was here, and so it was just always a draw back in, and I always had a job at the veterinarian's place. So, you know, it was real easy just to come back in and pick up right where I left off.
I got you. Are you married?
Yes, married,
tell me,
2 kids.
Where'd you meet your wife at?
I actually was giving her brother team roping lessons.
Okay, here or somewhere else?
Yeah, in Clemson. He was high school rodeoing, and after I moved back and did it professionally, that's something that I did, was teach kids how to rope and rodeo. And he was a client of mine, and like I say, we just got into the everyday, all day, and she came around, and that's how we ended up meeting. And you know, me and her brother were real tight, and I ended up getting real tight with her sister. And you know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, how long did it take for y'all got married?
We stayed together a long time. We were probably together 8 years before we got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long y'all been married?
About 2-3 years. We waited a long time. We were really, really busy, man.
Yeah.
We were all tied up into doing all these things. She was a big vet tech person, so she was in the veterinarian world too, and that was a real thing that brought us together.
I got you. So you got kids now?
2.
2? How old are they?
4.
1 and 4.
4-year-old was this weekend's birthday, and February was the 1-year-old's birthday.
Man, you're busy.
Golly.
It's a busy age, ain't it?
Goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give it that. It's busy.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Any parent advice for us?
Not yet. I'm just
figuring it out.
Yeah, I got my 4-year-old, and you know, we just love him to death. He wants to be a farmer.
Yeah.
You know, and that killed me when he came up and said, I want to be a farmer, and I saw how much trouble they're having. The suicide rate in farmers is 3.5 times the national average.
Really?
And so it's higher than veterans right now. And the last data that I've seen was probably like 23 or something. You know, they don't release
Yeah.
that data every year, but just seeing that and seeing how much of a struggle that he would have farming, it just was one of the contributing factors to me running.
Yeah.
You know, it's 2% of people providing for 98% of consumers. And my kids got a chance because they got some land to fall back on. Other kids in this area that, you know, they're battling the solar panels, the data centers, the development, you know, they have some real challenges just to be able to go out there and get land and try to make a living in farming now.
Yeah, I got you. So what other factors pushed you to run for ag? Was it just that, or like, when did you make the decision?
Well, last year we were affected by Helene pretty heavy, and I'm a pilot, and so, you know, I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself without power, and looked up and finally got service or whatever and saw what they were dealing with up there. And being a pilot, all the supplies that were coming in just got dropped off at the airport. So a bunch of pilots from around got in their airplanes and started flying stuff up while the roads were still closed. And that was my first real, you know, appetite for public service. And it just, the driving factor of being able to get over stuff that would have held me back in the past, knowing that these people are counting on me and needing this stuff, was just eye-opening to me. And so I would say that that's the first big thing that really pushed me and said that I want to be involved more. You know, after that, we had a blue-green algae bloom in the pond. From that, it washed a lot of silt down in our waterways.
Was that toxins or something?
No, it's just dirt, dirt, just nutrient-rich dirt. And if that water gets nutrient levels very, very rich, then it'll have an algae bloom, blue-green algae.
Right.
And if those dogs, cows, anything drinks out of that, they fall over dead. And so we had 24 cows die from an episode up there. And
that had to be quite an experience, man. 24 of your livestock died.
Oh, it was heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. And, you know, a lot of farmers would not come out and say, hey, we're dealing with this.
Yeah.
But me have been in the industry and dealing with the veterinarian for so many years, I knew that you don't get to that number and it's your fault. It's an outside factor. It's something you might need help with. And I went to trying to find help through different agencies, and I couldn't find it. And so that was another big push, is maybe I can keep somebody from having to go through what we went through. And intermediately, I went and found out that these people are already dealing with so much worse. I mean, there are so many farmers that are dealing with diesel prices now because they're out of sight, and fertilizer cost, and you know, the tariffs hit a lot of row croppers really big. You know, it's not a big deal if it happens at the beginning of the year, but when it happens in the middle of the year, it's something that you didn't prepare for. And our margins are so slim that any little thing that I see come along, it really hurts farmers.
Yeah.
And so that's another big reason that I got to pushing. We're one of the first hemp farmers in South Carolina. And when the continuing resolution came out, it put a ban on CBD in 365 days, which is coming up in November. And we had represented and helped a lot of special needs kids that depended on that medicine. And at that time, I gathered them up and went and tried to talk to our representatives, elected officials, and it was a hard road to travel. It was hard to get them there, hard to get them in front of them. And so that was it just all snowballed. And I saw that if I can get in this place with the motivation and the experience that I have, I can really make a difference for these farmers, for all different kind of people, consumers out there. You know, the Department of Agriculture does all the restaurants now, you know, and to have a person that has ties to all the restaurants in South Carolina and all the producers in South Carolina is just a plus for me. I feel like if I can link those two together, I can change our system in South Carolina on how we feed people. You know, I want to, there's an app right now that shows every roadside stand and market in the state of South Carolina. And I would like that to show live inventories, what I produce, what I have in my freezer to sell, you know, and I would like you as a consumer to list wants. So our community tells us what we need to produce. When we hit January 1st, we speculate like crazy, man. We just go out there and try and hope it rains and hope there's a market. And all these different things just cut away from it. So when I saw that, I said, you know, we need to saturate South Carolina and then move out from there. The way it works now is they bring that stuff in, chicken for chicken houses. They grow them for 7 weeks, then they ship them out. Well, that revenue stops as soon as it gets shipped out of state. And you have to use all those preservatives and freezing. So I want to really take a stand on bringing it back to South Carolina local.
Yeah, I got you. So it sounds like a lot of factors pushed you into the race or whatever.
It's been a snowball effect. It's just been building and building and building. I had my first little taste, and then next thing I know, I'm in so deep that I feel like I've got to be in a position to help people.
I love it, man. I love it. How about the timber farmers? They're struggling really bad.
Glad you brought that up.
What can we do to help those, Danny?
What I hear is we've had 13 mills in and around South Carolina. Dad used to be in the timber business when he got out of coaching in Clemson for a little bit. He said he'd never made money out of it. He lost money, but we've had those mills move out. I've heard they've all gone to Brazil. Brazil's taken all of the research that we've done in the United States, and they're building the nicest plants down there, and they're using eucalyptus trees on a 7-year rotation. And so we would never do that here. We have plenty of pines, we have plenty of plants standing, but we hadn't had a plant built in South Carolina since 1980. So we've got to have updated facilities to deal with this. They're all moving out of the country. You know, I've talked to some other people about shipping to Europe per se, you know, and well, they don't take our preservative, but we take that exact same preservative. That's not level. That's not giving our farmers a chance.
That ain't fair rules.
No, it's not fair rules. And so that's where I want to get it back to is these kids that are coming, you know, the average age of the farmer is 60. 35 and under is only 9% of our industry. We have got to do something to boost that number up, and then we've got to teach them what those 60-year-olds know, because in 10 years, they're going to be done farming, and these kids aren't going to know how to navigate what we have to navigate now.
Yeah, I got you. So traveling to state, what's one thing you've learned? I mean, are people eager for something different?
Oh, they're just dying, man. Everybody's cutting back. Everybody's getting out, you know. I originally got into it, like I said, to be able to prevent something from happening to somebody else. And it's just opened my eyes that everybody is already dealing with it. They've been in it just like us for the last year, just struggling like heck. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, some of them's algae blooms. Some of them, there's a few people that I know that have had mass cow losses. We're 100 million cows under what we were in 1970 in the United States right now. We've got to develop programs to get the cow prices down, to have more in South Carolina. You know, Texas talking about doing a tax break for if they keep heifers back, the breeding stock, and not selling them for beef, then they'll get a little bit of a tax break. And so that's something we need to look at in South Carolina, because we need to have local beef all across the state. All of our schools need to have local beef. When's the last time you know that somebody's got sick from deer meat?
I mean, don't happen.
Don't happen.
Don't happen.
You worry about all this stuff that goes to these big processing facilities, and then once it gets put in a big batch, it's all affected, E. coli, different things. So if we can single source it and try to build that community and have the cohesion of the community to build a structure where we can support our farmers, I think it can be a real game changer. And all my life, I mean, when I was in Florida, it was a very common joke, hey, they're picking up oranges to take to California, and then California's picking up oranges and bringing them back to Florida.
We got to be smarter than that.
You got to be smarter than that. I mean, people want to talk about how the roads are tore up. It's not because you're driving down the road, it's because these 80,000-pound loads are headed to the process plant and back. We've got to build our infrastructure back in the state of South Carolina.
And so to me, to bring it on a very simple level, we could be self-sufficient as far as what we need to eat and stuff in this state, closely.
I think that we can build to that. I don't think right now, I think maybe we're probably like at 60%, but if there's a lot of people that are farming, that are shipping out commodities, there's a lot of people that are doing different things, to where if we can get that, you know, right now I think the farmer makes 8 to 10 cents per food dollar. So when you go spend $1, 8 to 10 cents goes to that farmer. We need to concentrate about getting them 80 to 90% of that food dollar. They're the producer. They're producing it. They need that money and income. there's only 18 dairies in the state of South Carolina left. That happened from a company being the middleman and going bankrupt and not coming back and paying the farmers.
Yeah.
And all the farmers went bankrupt. And so when you get dependency on these big four processors, it's really problematic.
Yeah. You know, I always like to talk about, when talking about the ag commissioner and that department, it's a big deal, man. Like when it comes down to the restaurants, I mean, y'all inspect the restaurants, all the scales, gas pumps. It's a big deal, right? You want to talk about the enormity of the job?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot on their hands, and it's funny the way to me that it's positioned itself, because there's stuff like the state vet in South Carolina doesn't answer to the Department of Agriculture. They're standalone. And so, you know, some stuff I feel like I'd even want to be involved in the Department of Agriculture, but I see the restaurants and all the scale stuff, I see that as just a benefit. Because if I know 21,000 farms and I know 26,000 restaurants, then I can make a play there.
Yeah,
and bring them together. Dots. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. So, you know, I know that went away from DHEC, I think, you know, had it before. So I don't have a problem with that. They brought the inspectors over. They hired some new ones. There's a little bit of concern there for some of the new inspectors dealing with some of the restaurants, but we just got to have common sense. Yeah. If there's a tile broken on the floor, we got to get past the broken tile. We don't need to do $60,000 floor.
Common sense.
Common sense, you know. We need, and that's what I'm go back to is I feel that the fresher and better the food is local, the less problems we'll have in the inspecting and all the things, because once again, you don't have mass frozen foods and all these different things that we have Cisco driving around and doing now, you know. And really, the first thing I'd like to do is get all the schools and get these kids the most nutritional, best food that the state can produce. I feel like that is a big thing that we need to push for. But, you know, you're right. If you go to the gas pump, you see Hugh Weather's name on there. If you go get a ham sandwich at the deli, Hugh Weather's name's on that one too. So it is a very broad thing. I mean, they deal with the tax free for the skate for the state of South Carolina. They do all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we've run out of time. Yep. So where can they find out more information about you and your campaign, buddy?
DannyFordSC.com. We just hit 1 million views on Facebook, so I'm very active on there. If I'm cutting hay, I'm putting it on there. If I'm traveling, I'm putting it on there. You know, just try to let everybody see who I am as a person, and that I know the daily struggles that everybody's dealing with, and we need somebody that can speak up for those people.
Man, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Folks, I say it here often, we are in election season and primaries matter. Agriculture in South Carolina matters. Where we get our food, everything it touches. So make sure you do your research and make sure you take your time as an American to go vote. Please join us next time.